Okay, so for today's video, the meal we're going to cook out, you'll have seen it in the title description anyway. We're making a chicken chow mein. This is an idea one of my subscribers gave me in one of the earlier videos, so shout out to It's Hodgie. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description. I'm going to make you a chicken chow mein, but I have had to compromise a little bit, so I apologize. I can't quite make this on the Trangia. Like I am going to be cooking it on the Trangia, but with a little bit of a difference. You've seen in previous videos when I'm cooking, I'm a bit of a mess. Bits fly out of the pan all over. So when I'm making a chicken chow mein, there would just be a field full of chicken chow mein. So because I'm cooking for two today, I have brought with me a very non-bushcraft or wild camping kind of thing. So with me today is a wok. Now this wok is cheap as anything. In fact, I think it was so cheap it was free. I have a feeling that from Iceland supermarket there was an offer on where if you bought 3 like rice and Chinese products, food products, that you got a free wok. So this wok has had about 2 uses. It's already had some of the non-stick coating coming off, but I'm not bothered about that. But this wok is going to allow us to do a proper takeaway style chicken chow mein out in the wild at the top of High Wealden on a wok, on a Trangia. You'll see how that works in a second. I'll just quickly go through some of the ingredients that I've got for making this chicken chow mein. I'm just currently heating some water up. So first of all, so Mrs. Bushcraft Dave can have a cup of coffee, priorities. All right, but also when that water's heated up and we've given some to Mrs. Bushcraft Dave, we're going to heat up some noodles. So I've got just some cheap egg noodles. I had to crush them a bit to try and get them in here, but just, I don't know, it's about 150 grams of egg noodles. I've probably got too much, if anything. I've got some chicken that we boiled up, ready for cooking this dish, so we don't have to worry about cooking the chicken. We'll warm it through, obviously, but it's already pre-cooked, so we don't have to worry about that. So chicken, noodles, all looking good so far. Sunflower oil for cooking the, just frying everything off. Better than olive oil, which I normally would use in cooking, just get hotter. I've got plenty of soy sauce. 300 grams of bean sprouts. I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan of them, but it is traditional, so we'll stick them in. And some onion that I've already chopped up, ready to go. The only other ingredient that we ended up having to, the only other ingredient we had to get special was in here. I've got half a teaspoon of salt. See, don't need to get that, but half a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of MSG, monosodium glutamate. It's not something I've ever cooked with before, but we were looking at ideas and recipes and stuff online over the last couple of days. Once I'd decided that this was a suitable challenge to try and see if we could make work, I've ended up having to buy the biggest bag of MSG than I'll ever need to use, I would have thought. But it's basically a flavor enhancer, and it's what is supposedly used in a lot of fast food restaurants to make the stuff taste amazing. So it's a bit of a takeaway cheat, is the MSG. And all of this recipe here it is supposed to be like a takeaway style chicken chow mein. I know the walk that we've just done has absolutely killed us, so I'm sure we're both really ready for eating this food. Okay, so now the water's boiling, I'll just siphon off a little bit for the missus. Looking forward to that. And then I might just heat this up a little bit more. I do want it to be boiling because the noodles are just gonna go into the boiling water, and I'm just then gonna take them off the heat and just leave them in that boiling water for 4 minutes whilst I crack on with the main cooking. Let's go with it. We're gonna cook it up anyway. give them a stir a bit as they get all the crumbs in. Yeah, we'll give them a stir. I'll put them with you, Mrs.
Thank you. I'll just keep prodding them while
Yeah.
I have coffee.
Okay, so here's what I figured out at home when I was trying to figure out how to do this chicken chow mein. Is that I thought to myself, because I've been thinking about other stuff that I could put on top of the Trangia anyway, things like just a grill plate, like to be able to toast stuff, like you've maybe seen in one of the previous videos. And so what I thought about was whether it was possible to put a wok on top of this stove. And what's brilliant about these handles, the way that they come out, is that the wok just sits perfectly onto those. It's well balanced, goes straight in there. Perfect. So we'll let that get really hot. We'll chuck the oil in and away we go. So about a tablespoon of oil. We'll let that warm through. We want this really hot. Where are we at? Now that's already starting to smoke, so in we go with just one small onion, fry enough. Don't necessarily want to fry it for too long because it's still going to cook for quite a while longer yet anyway, and it will add a nice crunch in there. So we'll chuck in, this was two sort of smallish chicken breasts that we boiled. I made a stock using I think it's about 3 carrots and maybe 2 or 3 sticks of celery just chopped up, load of water, and just boiled up the chicken. And it boiled for 10 minutes in that water. Then you let it rest for 10 minutes. In fact, I think I boiled mine for about 15 minutes because when I checked and cut it halfway through, I wasn't perfectly happy, so I think I cooked it for another 5. So the next ingredient to go in is my half a teaspoon of salt and monosodium glutamate. Okay, next I'm going to chuck in a bag of bean sprouts, not sponsored by anybody. Yeah, whole bag, 300 grams of bean sprouts. Let's go, chuck it in. Make sure, take your rubbish away. So even with the wok, I'm chucking stuff over the side. Go on, Mrs. Bushcraft, chuck them noodles in. In reach. Noodles in. I'm going to have to pick up all of them bean sprouts that have gone up over the side. And just to make sure that them noodles are nice and loose, and then going in is probably a tablespoon, maybe even a couple of tablespoons of soy sauce. The bean sprouts need 4 minutes to cook through. Everything else should be absolutely fine. I'm making a right mess here.
He's a random bloke with noodles on his boots.
He's got what? A random bloke with noodles on his boots?
Yep, that's what I said.
Thanks, dude.
You're welcome.
I'm eating your food, am I?
Oh.
Do you know what I haven't figured out yet necessarily? How I'm going to transfer this from in here into the bowls.
I mean, you're so good at stirring stuff.
Oh, I'm so good.
You're so good at stirring stuff, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I think if I used a slightly thicker soy sauce, there would be a lot more colour in this, which would probably make it look like a darker colour that that chow mein has. And I think probably I've used too many bean sprouts, if I'm being honest. But it's an experiment. I think we're both hungry, so we will eat it anyway, regardless. And we're desperately hoping we can find a pub somewhere, or some way to try and get a nice little mini beverage.
So it's the first day.
Yes. Okay. This is a challenge for my poor stirring and serving skills. I'm gonna say that's a portion. I'm gonna go with that. Let me just shift them balls. You might deserve a bit more than that, Livia. What do you reckon? Some grass in mine.
Nice.
A little bit of extra nature flavouring in there. Nature's flavouring.
About 5.
Right then, chicken chow mein. It's hodgy. Successful. I know it wasn't very bushcrafty bringing me a wok with me, but it was a challenge that I feel like I've managed to meet. We'll see. Yeah, it tastes good. I definitely think a much darker, thicker soy sauce in that would make a huge difference. Or maybe even if I'd just put a whole load more in it. I only brought out what I brought out with me. If I'd had the whole bottle, I'd have chucked a load more in just to try and flavour it up, but tastes great. So yeah, thank you for joining us. If you've stayed till the end, thank you very, very much. Please don't anybody think about that, like bringing a wok out to do a walk is in any way normal whatsoever. Like, properly ridiculous. It's going to be a rarity that I add on extra stuff to the Trangia, but
I think you could do that chow mein for one in the proper Trangia. It's only because I'm here. But it's so
yeah, maybe. If it was just for one, you know, maybe only use one of those little discs of noodles, just a smaller portion of onions and noodles.
And if you're better at stirring than him.
Yeah, if you've got any ability to actually stir without everything flying out the pan, then we've got a chance. So, goodbye from Bushcraft Dave. Say goodbye, Mrs. Bushcraft Dave.
Goodbye, Mrs. Bushcraft Dave.
She's a good one, isn't she? She's a keeper. So, if you've liked the video, please give it a like, subscribe, click on all them bits. You know the drill. And we'll see you in the next one.
Leaving nothing but a slight divot where our bums were.